Hello guys, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto what if. What if Naruto was denied a future by his family but forged one that made every case fall to their niche in a way? If you enjoy this video then please like, share and do comment. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation.
Naruto leaned against the bridge and sighed, his team nowhere in sight. Today was Team 7's first day of missions. One word: D ranks. After a mission where Kakashi-sensei did nothing but giggle perversely while reading his book, Sakura-chan ignored him the whole time, and Sasuke pretended that his team didn't exist. It was no wonder Naruto felt down. He stood alone on the bridge after the mission watching the water ripple. Kakashi's shun shined away the minute the mission finished and both Sakura and Sasuke refused to go out for lunch together. Well, it could have been worse, he muttered. Meanwhile, Team 10 walked down the path leading into the village. And there was so much mud. I think I got some in my hair. It's going to take days for it to wash out in Shika. Are you listening to me? Ino ranted. Troublesome, Shikamaru groaned, tired of listening to Ino's ranting. Stretching his hands above his head, he searched for a distraction. There, in the corner of his eye he saw Naruto on the bridge. Naruto, why don't you join us for lunch? We're going to eat Chiraku's, my treat. Shikamaru practically shouted, hoping to throw Ino off his back. Huh, wa Shikamaru? Naruto asked confused. We'll talk while we eat, come on. Shikamaru nearly dragged Naruto away from the bridge with Choji to avoid Ino's complaints. Great idea, Shikamaru. Nato baka, next time you should bring your team. Actually, just bring Sasuke. No one needs forehead anyways. Ino's eyes fired up, making the three boys look away with sweat drops. Wow, that's new, they all agreed. So, Ichiraku's? Naruto wondered while trying to tug his hand away from Shikamaru's surprisingly iron-tight grip. Yeah, we're meeting up with Team 8 there to talk about the genin exams and our first mission, Choji said between munching his chips. Sounds fun, Naruto replied while rubbing the wrist Shikamaru had finally let go of. We were going to invite your team too, but we never could find you guys. We're thinking of making it a weekly thing to hang out, Choji explained as he held the door to Ichiraku's open for Ino. They were walking into the restaurant when they heard someone behind them say, "It is indeed beneficial to get to know each other as our three teams were the only ones to pass. As we are the same age, we will most likely be working together." The hooded figure then nodded towards Shikamaru and announced, "We are here, Shikamaru." Whoa, Naruto jumped and turned around to see Shino standing right next to him. Don't do that, he squeaked while standing with his hand over his rapidly fluttering heart. Yo, Naruto, you're here too? We couldn't find any of your teammates on our way here, but that's probably a good thing. Soccer is loud and no one likes Sasuke anyways. Kiba smirked at Naruto's misfortune of being placed on that team. Hey, take that back, dogface. Ino swelled up in defense of her precious Sasuke. Naruto ignored Ino's rebuttal and replied, yeah, they left right after the mission was done. I'll ask them if they want to come next week. He sat in the middle of the table with Choji and Shikamaru on his right, Kiba and Shino on his left, leaving Ino and Hinata to be across from him. Where's Akamaru? He asked absently while playing with the menu. He's getting a checkup, so I couldn't bring him on the mission today. Kiba muttered over the top of his menu. Naruto nodded at him while looking around the table. He wanted to ask the others how their tests went, but was interrupted by Ayame's arrival. So, he started after everyone ordered. How were your guys' genin exams? Kakashi-sensei was 3 hours late and said he hated us. Then he made us introduce ourselves and told us that almost everyone fails a super hard survival test and to not eat breakfast or else we'd throw up. But he came super late, so we were starving. Did you guys do the bell test too? Naruto asked while taking the bowls of ramen from the counter and passing them around the table. No one could make ramen as fast as Tucci could at Ichiraku's. He hummed as he savored his first bowl of ramen. Anyo, Kurenai-sensei had lunch with us and we got to know each other. Hinata shyly twirled her fingers together and stared at her bowl of miso ramen. MMMHMMM. Kiba agreed with his mouth full. He swallowed and spoke. The next day we met up and she made us track her through the village, which was our test. Shino already put a bug on her and Akamaru followed her perfume, so it wasn't too hard. Hinata was great. She used her Byakugan to find Kurenai-sensei in the hedges. Yes, Hinata contributed greatly to our efforts of spotting Kurenai-sensei. Her skill set complemented ours to make a tracking and sensing team. Shino added as he cracked apart his chopsticks. Bakakugan? What's that? Naruto paused between inhaling a bowl of ramen to ask. Naruto Baka, how can you not know what that is? It's one of the top eye bloodlines in Konoha. Hinata is part of the Hyuga clan which uses the Byakugan. It can see through everything and in all directions. Ino sniffed at Naruto and used a napkin to dab at her face. Whoa Hinata, that's so cool. You have X-ray vision. Can you see through clothes? Naruto looked at Hinata with stars in his eyes, imagining all the new jutsus he could make. Eep. Hinata blushed bright red and dropped her chopsticks. Naruto, you pervert. You can't ask girls those questions. Ino reproached and smacked the back of Naruto's head. Ow. Okay, sheesh. He muttered and rubbed the back of his head. Anyways, so your test was about teamwork too? Kakashi-sensei told us that the genin test was about working as a team, but he tried to trick us by using only 2 bells. Yours sounds way easier. Naruto pouted. Yes, all the genin tests are about teamwork in some way. This is Konoha after all, and we are known for having 3-man teams. Shikamaru yawned and lazily looked at Naruto. Our test wasn't too hard either. Speak for yourself, Shikamaru. Asuma-sensei is just as lazy as you. He gave us the names of the villagers and we had to find out everything we could about them in an hour, while he sat there and watched us. We had to follow them around the village and listen to them buy groceries and talk about their lives. They didn't even have any good gossip. It was so boring, but we got Asuma-sensei back for the test. We made him pay for our lunch, and you know how much Choji can eat. Ino smirked wickedly, remembering how pale Asuma was when he had to pay for their meal. Naruto winced. Ouch. His paycheck down the drain. Choji grinned conspiratorially at him. Yes, well, he did offer to pay. Still. Anyways, Shikamaru interrupted. It makes sense in a way. Team 8 is a tracking team, so they had to find their sensei. We're a capture and interrogate team, so we had to investigate people. Team 7 is a combat team, so I'm guessing you had to fight someone? He raised an eyebrow at Naruto questioningly. Sort of. We fought Kakashi-sensei to get the 2 bells he had. But Kakashi-sensei was too good. I tried to hit him with my clones, but he popped them all while he read his perverted book. Then he sent me flying with his 1,000 years of death and left. Naruto winced, feeling phantom pains pulsing in his backside. Wait, since when can you make a clone? Kiba groused as he tried eating a slippery meat piece. Since I got my headband dog breath. Naruto scowled and threw a napkin at him. How'd you get a headband anyways? Didn't you fail the test? Ino asked, suspicious. I just did, Naruto answered hurriedly, reluctant to bring up what happened with Mizuki. Anyways, Sakura-chan was trapped in a genjutsu, and when I woke her up she screamed about Sasuke and ran away. I was going to follow her, but I got stuck in a trap. Sasuke fought with Kakashi-sensei and was buried in the ground to his head. Naruto grinned, remembering how Sasuke looked when trapped in the ground. He continued, then the timer went off and it was too late to get any bells. You guys failed your test? Shikamaru asked as he blocked Choji's wandering chopsticks from his plate. Nah, it wasn't the real test. Kakashi-sensei then tied me to the pole and told everyone that we should go back to the academy and not to feed me. But Sasuke and Sakura-chan fed me anyways, so we passed. Kakashi-sensei then told us that if we don't follow the rules we're trash, but if we leave a teammate behind we're worse than trash. He finished proudly with his chest puffed up. There was silence for some time and then Kiba grinned at Naruto. So, how long were you tied to that pole for? He snickered. Naruto sweated a little. Well, Kakashi-sensei is a junin even though he's a pervert. And, he can tie ropes really tightly. Wait, Shikamaru narrowed his eyes. Did they just leave you there? Naruto shifted and looked away. I think they forgot I was still tied to the pole. I mean, we were all so happy we passed the test. Kiba inhaled sharply. What kind of team leaves one of their own behind? Hinata and Choji were just staring at Naruto while Shino's bugs were buzzing agitatedly. Even Ino had some pity in her eyes. Poor Naruto. I mean, I got down eventually. The villagers helped me down after some time. He shrugged his shoulders as if saying, what can you do? And when exactly did the villagers help you down? Shikamaru asked, trying to keep his temper down. How could they just leave him there? Naruto scrunched up his face, trying to remember. I don't know exactly how long it was, but I remember seeing Kiba later that day, so it couldn't have been too long. Kiba looked stricken. Naruto, that was 3 days after we met our senseis. You were there for 2 whole days. His eyes widened in recognition, and I remember that day, you were limping and bleeding. You said it was from training too hard. Naruto rubbed the back of his head and muttered, it didn't feel that long. He felt weird that everyone was watching him with a strange look in their eyes. Is that concern? Strange, I thought only Iruka sensei or Gigi get worried like that. I must have remembered the day wrong or something. He said, trying and failing to look convincing, but no one fell for it. So, how did you guys spend the week? Any training? How was your first mission? He tried changing the topic. Ino opened her mouth to call him out on it, when she saw Naruto's pleading eyes. She closed it and switched topics. Asuma-sensei tested our chakra affinities so we'd be ready for them later on. Chakra affinities? What are those? Naruto asked while shooting a small smile at Ino. Arg, Naruto, it's chakra. How did you even pass the test if you don't even know that? Ino ranted, ruining the tense atmosphere. They're wind, water, earth, fire, lightning, and a few other uncommon ones. Choji and Shika have earth and fire, while I have earth and water. Kurenai-sensei says we'll check our next week, Hinata shyly said. Wow, how do you check what you have? Kakashi-sensei hasn't even mentioned anything about that yet. Naruto's eyes sparkled, imagining himself shooting lightning out of his eyes like laser beams. Do you want to check yours? Ino asked gently, still feeling some pity towards Naruto. I think I still have a sheet of chakra paper left over and Team 8 is going to find out next week anyways. She shifted few things around in her pouch and took out a small square of white paper. Yeah, thanks Ino. Naruto chirped in joy. So, how do you do this? He fingered the square of paper. Just channel some chakra into the paper and it'll show you what you have, Ino explained patiently. How do you channel chakra? Naruto tilted his head to the side, clueless. Shikamaru groaned and put his head on the table. Just put some chakra on the paper. Okay, why didn't you just say that? Naruto mumbled. Ino facepalmed and muttered, I'm surrounded by idiots. Naruto focused his chakra on the paper and it split down the middle. That's rare, Shikamaru remarked. He noticed everyone looking at him confused. To have wind release, I mean. Asuma-sensei and I think the 4th Hokage had it too. He clarified. Yata, I'm going to become Hokage with my cool new wind release. I'll blow everyone away. Naruto bellowed and struck a good guy pose. Idiot, you have to first learn chakra control if you want to even use your wind release. Ino admonished Naruto, who sat back down with a pout. How do I do that? You could do the leaf sticking exercise or climb trees. I think it's too soon for water walking for you, Shikamaru drawled. But leaf sticking doesn't work. All the leaves just blow up, and why would climbing a tree help? Naruto whined while looking at Shikamaru. He huffed and said, then use more leaves all over your body and slowly use less until you can make 5 leaves stick to all your fingertips. Tree walking is when you use chakra on your feet to stick to the tree. Kurenai-sensei never mentioned tree walking to us. Kiba pouted too. Probably because neither of you are ready for it yet, Shikamaru dryly responded. Yeah? Well, I'm going to go train now and make the leaves stick to my fingers by next week. You'll see, Naruto yelled and jumped out of his seat. I'm going to go train now. See you guys next week here after missions for lunch. Thanks for the ramen, Shikamaru. Bye. Naruto waved and rushed out of the restaurant, heading for the training grounds. Wait, Naruto, Shikamaru began, only to be cut off by Kiba. Yeah, see you later Shika, Choji, Ino. I'm going to go train too. I can't let Naruto beat me. Kiba threw his money on the table and rushed out too. Wait, Kiba? Never mind, Shikamaru groaned and sank further into his seat. Sorry Shikamaru, but we better go and keep track of our teammate. Here is my share of the bill. Thank you for the invitation. Come on, Hinata, I've already bugged Kiba so we can easily find him. Shino too rose and left the restaurant. Hinata got up and bowed to Team 10 and said softly, thank you for inviting my team and I. We shall be here next week. Until then. She left her money on the table and briskly left the restaurant too. What were you about to say to Naruto and Kiba? Choji asked, watching Shikamaru. Nothing much, just that it would take several months of practice before they'll be able to spin leaves on their fingertips and that tree walking would probably take a year for them. Especially for Naruto because he couldn't even make a bunshin. But it's too late for that now. I'll just tell them next week when they're disappointed. Ino started snickering. What's with you? He stared at her wondering if she had finally cracked. Oh, nothing. Did you check the bill yet to see how much Naruto ate? She crowed at him and gestured towards the table. No, let me see, he asked and Ino handed the bill over. Shikamaru paled as red under his breath, 12 bowls. How is that even possible? Even Choji only ate 6. He slammed his head on the table groaning while Ino and Choji laughed at him. I'm never treating him ever again. Never again, he muttered viciously while his teammates only laughed harder. All the way across the village, Naruto sneezed. Someone must be talking about me, he muttered. Doesn't matter. I'll show them all I can do this in a week. I just have to work harder. A light bulb flickered in his head for a brief instant of time before dying out. I know, I'll use shadow clones. Then I'll be training a million times. Naruto exclaimed and started training again. Normally, this wouldn't work, but this is Naruto and he's anything but normal. He also has the healing powers of the Kyuubi, so it doesn't destroy his brain when absorbs hundreds of clones' memories. Instead, with each clone his brain slowly acclimates and becomes better able to assimilate larger amounts of data and forge faster connections. Naruto's memory, associations, and chakra control all improve with each clone. Within a week, and 500 clones, Naruto spends about 20,000 hours alone on mastering the leaf-sticking chakra control exercise. This, considering Naruto's large amount of chakra, is just enough for him to move on to tree walking. Kiba, on the other hand, doesn't have this luxury, and can only wallow in despair as he tries and fails to stick more leaves to his fingertips. On the bridge, Team 7 was splitting up the money after another annoying but successful D rank. Okay, my cute little genin, looks like we have 25,000 ryo. Now since I'm your sensei, I get 10,000 ryo and each of you get 5,000 ryo. Kakashi eyes smiled. But, sensei, you just sat there and read Icha. It's not fair that you get so much. You didn't even help out. Naruto yelled. Sasuke grunted in agreement. Yeah, cheapskate sensei. I think we should get 8,000 ryo each and you 1,000 ryo. It's only fair. Sakura shrieked making everyone wince. Ma, are my small adorable students saying they want more endurance training in the mornings and that I should take more catching Tora missions? Kakashi asked with a glint in his eyes. No sensei. We're happy with what we got. Yay, 5,000 ryo. Naruto hurriedly replied as Sasuke and Sakura frantically shook their heads. Good, I see those teamwork lessons have been working for all of you to agree in unison. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow here at 7 a.m. sharp. Ya ne, Kakashi said before flickering away in a sphere of lightning. Show off, grumbled Naruto. He noticed Sakura and Sasuke were still there and decided to ask if they wanted to join the meeting with Team 8 and 10. Hey Sakura-chan, Sasuke-teme. Do you guys want to come with me to eat lunch with Teams 8 and 10? Sasuke only scoffed before striding away. Sakura-chan? Naruto prompted again, hopeful that at least one of his teammates would want to hang out with him. Sakura snapped out of her Sasuke-induced stupor and said, Naruto baka, I don't want to go on a date with you. I like Sasuke-kun. She shot him a death glare before racing after Sasuke. Wait, Sakura-chan. Naruto tried again, but she was already out of sight. Naruto sighed and heard his stomach rumble. He opened up Gamma-chan, his trusty toad wallet, and checked how much ryo he had left. With today's 5,000 that makes 12,760 ryo, just enough for 3 bowls of ramen. I guess I can spend a bit today. It is the weekend so maybe Gigi will eat with me one day and I can always ask Iruka-sensei to treat me. He looked at the time and saw he was running late. Datbeo, I need to run. He stuffed some leaves in his pocket and took off to Ichiraku's. I hope they haven't started without me. Ugh, what's taking them so long? I want to see my Sasuke-kun. Ino wailed with hearts in her eyes. They pulsed each time she thought of how wonderful Sasuke was. We'll wait 5 more minutes before giving up on Team 7, okay? Just calm down. Shikamaru started edging away towards the tables, getting more and more creeped out by the glittering hearts in Ino's eyes. How's she even doing that? Kiba whimpered to Choji, who just shrugged, used to it already. Hinata's eyes suddenly snapped up and started becoming heart-shaped. Kiba watched her with mounting horror. It's spreading. Make Ino stop, he hissed at Shikamaru. Shikamaru snorted and said, that's not why, someone's arrived. The door to Ichiraku's swung open and Naruto jogged towards them sweating and panting hard. Hey guys, how's your week been? He asked and plopping into a chair nearby. It has been a very good week so far, Naruto. My Kakaichu are especially happy. Thank you for asking, Shino spoke suddenly, startling everyone as he was right behind them. Shino, I told you to stop doing that. Akamaru's here too, cool. Naruto noticed happily. Naruto, where's Sasuke-kun? Ino demanded. Sasuke Teme didn't want to come and Sakura-chan thought I was trying to trick her or something. Naruto said a little sullenly. Let's order some ramen, Choji said, trying to cheer Naruto up, not liking the frown on his usually happy face. So how many leaves did you get to spin, Naruto? Kiba asked competitively. Can't be more than my 5. He did suck at this at the academy. Naruto brightened up and took out the leaves he stuffed into his pocket before coming. Check it out, he said proudly and showed off the 10 leaves rotating on his fingertips. He grinned widely at Team 10's gaping faces. See, I could so do it too. Thanks for telling me about it, Shikamaru. He beamed at Shikamaru, whose mouth hung wide open. How? Wait, what? That shouldn't even be possible. A week ago, you were burning leaves and you couldn't even make them stick to you, but now you can. What the heck? This doesn't even make any sense. Shikamaru spluttered. Yeah, and I even almost got tree walking down too. Naruto smiled widely with his eyes closed and his hand rubbing the back of his head. Damn, you beat me. I only got one hand to make it work. And that too, only works sometimes. How'd you do it so fast? Kiba asked jealously while Shikamaru continued muttering about how impossible this was. I used my clones and made them do it too so I could train more, he explained and looked at Shikamaru as if he was dumb for not understanding. What? That doesn't make sense. Clones are only illusions. Even if they copied the same actions as you, it wouldn't matter because they couldn't pick up the leaves, Ino pointed out confused. My clones are different. They're solid. Here, watch. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto yelled and a double appeared in a burst of smoke. Yo, boss. We should do the magic trick. The clone exclaimed conspiringly. Good idea. Hinata, whisper a number into my clone's ear and write the same number on a piece of paper and hide it. Okay, done? Eep. I mean, yes. Hinata blushed while shyly hiding the folded piece of paper underneath a bowl of ramen on the table. Okay. Kiba, punch my clone. Naruto commanded while feeding Akamaru some steak. What? But isn't it just going to go through it? He asked confused. Just do it. Okay. He said before punching the clone, which disappeared into a puff of smoke. Is the number 8? Yes. H, how did you know that? Hinata stuttered. It's a shadow clone, which means they are solid and can be used for training because the maker gets the clone's memories back, Shikamaru clarified. What? Why didn't we learn that clone at the academy instead? Kiba whined. Because it takes way too much chakra for a genin to use. You'd have to be a junin to actually use it, and even then, you'd only be able to use 1 or 2. What? But I can make like 500. Naruto said, spreading his hands out in front of him. How much chakra do you have? That's like 2 or 3 cages worth. And even if you can make that much, you shouldn't because it could fry your brains with that many memories. How do you even learn it anyways? It's a kinjutsu and forbidden to learn. Shika wondered, doubtful. What? No, I was fine. Plus, I'm an Uzumaki. I've got super healing and stuff. And, Gigi said I could because I have too much chakra for the Bunshin, Naruto replied, happy that the Hokage made an excuse so he didn't have to explain about Mizuki. Oh yeah, I forgot to take into account that you are part of the Uzumaki clan known for their large chakra levels, no chakra control, great vitality, and masters of seals, Shikamaru said, thoughtful as he rubbed his chin in a thinking position. Naruto's part of a clan? Ino asked, interested. I have a clan? Naruto asked, also confused but interested. Yeah, you didn't know? Shikamaru frowned. How can you not know? Choji wondered as he placed another dumpling on his plate. Naruto flinched slightly and shrugged. You know I'm an orphan. It's not like there's anyone to really tell me. What about your Gigi? You talked about him before, Kiba asked while slurping his soup. I meant Hokage Gigi. He's the closest thing to a family I've ever had, but he's busy. So, we can't meet all the time and talk much. He eats ramen with me sometimes, though. What about the orphanage? Didn't anyone ever tell you there? Hinata asked. Naruto laughed bitterly, surprising the others. As if they'd care about me. They hate me. I've been living on my own ever since I was 4 when I left the orphanage. Naruto sighed, not really wanting to talk about why he was kicked out. It wasn't too bad living alone, just lonely. But Gigi bought me an apartment and even pays the rent. So, he's like the grandpa I've never had. Him and Iruka sensei are like family. Iruka sensei even taught me how to read when he found out I couldn't in my second year at the academy. Shikamaru made a little choking noise. You didn't know how to read before? Naruto started looking uncomfortable again. No one really taught me how, and Gigi's busy with the village and his own family. Iruka sensei noticed and helped, so it's all good now anyways. Naruto tried changing the topic. So, what did you guys do this week? Any new missions or training? Shino caught on and replied, Kurenai sensei showed us our chakra affinities. Kiba only has earth, while Hinata has fire and lightning. I have earth and fire like Shikamaru and Choji. Lightning is also rare in Konoha. I believe Kakashi sensei also has lightning. Really? Naruto asked, surprised. You guys still haven't learned about chakra affinities yet? Kiba asked. No, Kakashi sensei is still making us do teamwork exercises until we can fully trust our teammates to become our new hands and feet, whatever that means. Naruto pouted, remembering about all the teamwork exercises they'd done. We haven't even talked about chakra affinities yet or learned any new jutsus. That's strange. Even Asuma sensei, who's as lazy as Shikamaru, taught us a few campfire jutsus. Feeling guilty again, Ino asks if everyone wanted to practice the jutsus their senseis taught them. We can go to a training field after eating and share the jutsus our senseis taught us and even spar a little. Later we can even work on our chakra affinities together because some of us have the same ones. Ino, you actually said something smart. Shikamaru sounded shocked as he looked at Ino with wide eyes. Ino shrieked, Shika, and smacked the back of his head. Ignore him. Anyways, we can trade jutsus after eating. So, is everyone done or are they still eating? It looks like we have all eaten. Unless someone wants more ramen? Shino asked Naruto if he was going to order any more. Nope, I'm done for today, Shino. Naruto smiled widely while he placed his money on the table and piled his 3 bowls on the side counter. What, only 3 bowls today, Naruto? What happened to eating 12 like last time? Ino teased as they exited the shop. Naruto laughed and replied, yeah, I used up all my money today as a treat, so I can't get any more until tomorrow's 5,000 ryo. You guys only make 15,000 a day on missions? Ino asked, shocked. We make around 40,000 each a day. No, we make around 25,000 ryo on one mission per day. Kakashi sensei always comes 3 hours late, so we only have time for 2 missions at most, and he wants us to work on our teamwork most of the time, so we only take 1 mission anyways. What happens to the remaining 10,000 ryo? Shikamaru asked. Kakashi sensei takes it as payment for watching us work. Naruto complained, annoyed at Kakashi. That's not right. Kurenai sensei doesn't take any money from our missions. Kiba protested. Yeah, neither does Asuma sensei. Don't Sakura or Sasuke complain? Choji dissented. Not much. They want more money, but I don't think it really matters for them. Sakura still lives with her parents and Sasuke has a lot of money from his clan. For me, well, I'm living off the pay. He paused to look at the forest. I'm thinking of growing a garden if Kakashi sensei doesn't let us take more missions. For now, I can find food in the forest and weapons on the training grounds. And Gigi and Iruka sensei sometimes treat me. Naruto shoved his hands in his pockets and looked up. Besides, I'm practicing rationing and how to live of the land. Every ninja needs to know how to do that anyways. I'm pretty good at it too. Naruto smiled, remembering how bad he used to be at catching fish when he was 6. Now I can catch fish in a minute and trap animals in 5. There's nothing like the real world to train for the living in the wild. He said fondly. Team 8 and 10 glanced at each other, clearly not liking that Naruto had to literally hunt for food. There was nothing they could do for him now, but they promised to help him out in the future. On their way to the training fields, Ino, Hinata, and Choji talked about what snacks they could bring to these get-togethers, while Shino and Shikamaru told Naruto about some cheap plants he could grow and harvest soon. Kiba and Akamaru were on the lookout for an empty training ground that was big enough for all 8 of them. At the training ground, Team 8 decided to show the rest what they learned first. Anyo, Kurenai-sensei taught us how the campfire 3. How to light a campfire, put one out, and erase its tracks. Hinata explained while showing them how to do each jutsu. Oh, I know those. Gigi taught them to me when I was 5. He said they'd help when he found out I was hunting for food in the forest. They also help for pranks. Naruto said excitedly. Naruto baka, how can they help with pranks, unless you light something on fire? Ino rebuked. You can use them for different things. Like the light is good to use in the dark as a flashlight, but if you put enough chakra in it, you can make it a firework. See, watch. He did the hand signs for the jutsu and pointed towards the sky. A large sparking flame flew into the sky and with a bang burst into little sparks like a firework. What's the point of that? Kiba sneezed at the remaining smoke in the air. You can use it to signal a teammate if you're in trouble, Shikamaru suggested. Yeah, and with the water one, you can make different amounts of water with different amounts of chakra, and since it's clean you can drink it, make soup, or refresh yourself with a mist bath when it's super hot outside. If you combine it with the first jutsu you can make hot water which is perfect for making ramen. Naruto drooled thinking about the ramen he made with it. We could make ramen and soup away from home on missions. Choji's eyes gleamed, picturing all the dried food he could bring with him on missions from now on. The last one is the best, though. You can use it to erase tracks on fireplaces and footprints, but if you use it on yourself, then you're untraceable. Here, I'll show you. Shino, can you bug me? And can you smell me, Kiba and Akamaru? Shino nodded and Kiba gave Naruto a thumbs up. Okay, now I'm going to do the jutsu. He made the hand signs and performed the jutsu on himself. Okay, now can you track me, Kiba and Akamaru, or can you use your bug to find me, Shino? Akamaru sniffed the air and walked around in a circle while Kiba also tried to track Naruto's scent. That's so weird. You were right there, but now it's like you don't exist anymore. Kiba said as he walked in a circle around Naruto. Yes, I cannot feel my connection to my Kakaichu anymore, nor can I find a trace of you anymore. Shino frowned, put off that he couldn't feel one of his companions. Oh, here's your Kakaichu back. Naruto carefully handed back the beetle to Shino who looked relieved he could feel its connection again. Okay, I'm going to do it again, Naruto said and activated the jutsu once more. Hinata, can you see me when you use your Byakugan? Hinata tried them and was shocked. No, I cannot see you anymore. Your chakra signature is gone. It doesn't seem to exist anymore. Hinata's eyes stopped bulging as she stopped using her Byakugan. Naruto laughed and said, I used to use that jutsu to hide myself from the Anbu after a prank. Only Iruka-sensei could ever find me, but that's because he used to be a prankster too, so he knows all the good hiding spots. Don't worry, though. If you use more chakra in your Byakugan than I use for the jutsu, then you should be able to see me according to the tests Gigi did. Naruto, do you know what that jutsu means? If a Rouge Nin ever used it, then we wouldn't be able to ever track them down. They could sneak into the village and do anything. You can't teach that to anyone, Shikamaru said urgently. I know. Gigi wanted to know why the Anbu couldn't find me. When I told him, he said that I couldn't teach it to anyone who could betray the village, but I trust you guys. He looked up at them and continued, you're all my friends. I want you to be safe. That's why you guys have to learn how to do those jutsus without seals because it's an A- ranked secret according to Gigi. Hinata and Ino blushed as they looked at Naruto, while the boys felt touched that he thought that highly of them. Also, can you guys have to keep it a secret? Gigi said only I can tell you guys about it after we learned the campfire 3 from our senseis, and I haven't told Sakura-chan or Sasuke-teme about it yet. I guess Kakashi-sensei doesn't think they are ready for it yet. Besides, they haven't exactly been the nicest to me, so I don't know if I can trust them with it yet. I know that you all know the dangers of A-ranked secrets falling into the wrong hands. But Sakura-chan doesn't know yet, and I don't think Sasuke-teme cares about that. Naruto finished looking each member of Team 8 and 10 in the eye to emphasize the severity of revealing this to them. I guess we'll just have to train harder then, and learn how to do them without seals, Shikamaru drawled. Naruto smiled at him brightly, glad that his trust hadn't been misplaced. Ino spoke up, Asuma-sensei taught us the same 3 jutsus. So, it's weird Kakashi-sensei didn't teach you guys those 3. You really think he doesn't think you guys are ready for it yet? Yeah, or maybe Gigi told him I knew them, and he thought Sasuke and Sakura also knew them? Naruto suggested and shrugged his shoulders, dismissing the topic. Yeah, maybe, Ino said, still not fully convinced. Asuma-sensei didn't teach us any more jutsus, but he made us practice the basic 3 a lot. He really likes throwing things at us and making us kawarimi. Did he tell you that you can kawarimi with air? Naruto asked. I didn't know you could do that. Kiba said excitedly and tried to do it. Why didn't it work? He asked when the jutsu failed. Try using more cat chakra and pretending that the air is an object you want to replace with. Kiba tried again and this time it worked. Wow, that's so cool. Now I don't need to walk anywhere. I can just kawarimi there. Gigi says that if you can picture a place far away and use a lot of chakra, then the kawarimi becomes sunshine. Naruto happily stated before showing it to them. Shikamaru chortled, I think you mean Shunshin. Asuma-sensei sometimes does it in leaves behind leaves. I can do the teleporting part, but I don't get how you make the leaves. Naruto said confused. I think they use some chakra to unseal a scroll of leaves which makes smoke too. What's the point of it? Maybe they just want to look pretty, though I don't get why they'd want to use leaves. Flowers are much better, and if they bought them from my shop, it would really drive up sales. Ino thought with a gleam in her eyes. I believe they use it confuse the enemy and make it so they cannot be tracked. Or Junin just use it because they are used to it. Shino supplemented. Well, at least kawarimi has a use, but bunshin and hange are useless. Ino moaned. What? Hange is awesome. Naruto defended. You can become anyone and anything. No, you can't. You can't become objects or become smaller than yourself. And it isn't even solid. It's just an illusion like bunshin. Bunshin is useless. It's too bad you can't learn shadow clone. But I think you're doing hange wrong. When I use it for my Oryoke no jutsu or become a weapon, I'm solid. See? Naruto became a kunai while everyone just stared at him with wide eyes. That's not supposed to happen either, Shikamaru whispered faintly. Naruto changed back and said, I can teach you guys this version too, because I made it up. It's also an A- rank secret. The trick is to only use the ram hand seal and to use way more chakra. Like the presence erasing campfire 3 jutsu. You guys can only hold this up for about a few seconds because the drain's like 5 kg bunshins worth. But if you use it enough, then your reserves should grow and you'd be able to hold it up for longer. I think you guys can probably hold it up for at most 15 seconds right now. It's super useful though. You can change into any size, gender, animal, or object. Gigi said to be careful though because you can become pregnant if you become a girl, but he didn't explain what he meant. Naruto pouted again with a small frown, wondering what the talk Gigi was always saying he needed to give him was about. He stopped spacing out when he heard Kiba choking and saw that everyone was blushing. You guys know about the talk and what Gigi was talking about, don't you? He asked suspicious. Kiba made a strange whining noise again and Shino's Kakaichu seemed to be buzzing louder. Hinata, Ino, and Choji were all still blushing heavily while Akamaru put his paws over his head. Shikamaru's face still had a pink tinge when he turned to Naruto and said, It's more of a thing your family tells you. And you said that the Hokage was the closest thing you have to family, so you'll just have to wait for him to tell you. Think of it as a family secret. Okay, I guess I'll have to wait. Naruto sulked a bit while the rest sighed in relief. Why don't you show us your special henge again and we'll copy it, Ino persuaded. Okay, Naruto happily agreed. Deep in the forest of death, by a stream, a young blonde was fishing with no luck. Unknown to the blonde, Tora had recently taken to hiding from genin upstream, making the fish too scared to stray further downstream. Any minute now I'll catch a fish. Any second now. Come on, fishy, 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 where are you? A grumble snapped the whiskered blonde out of his thoughts. He growled in frustration and threw his rod into the stream. I'm so hungry. Stupid fish. Stupid villagers. Stupid Kakashi-sensei. He looked around his fishing spot and spotted some mushrooms. I wonder. He crouched near the mushrooms. They look just like the ones Iruka-sensei said civilians cook with. Should I eat them? He looked at the mushrooms and bit his lip. Looking around one more time, he made up his mind. No one will mind if I take them. He grinned mischievously and started harvesting the mushrooms. Guess I'm having grilled mushrooms for lunch. In Konoha there stood a tower that overlooked the village. In this tower, a man sat next to a crystal ball doing his paperwork. Wait, what's this? He's not actually doing his work, but is reading the new edition of Icha Icha. Yes, you got it right. This man, the leader of this village, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Hokage, is actually reading porn. Why are we watching the Hokage read porn, you ask? That is because today's story starts with him. Gigi, you keep saying that you have to tell me about the talk, but you keep forgetting to do it. It's not fair. All my friends know about it and I want to know about it too. A voice whined. Yes. What's this about your friends? Were they the ones I saw in the crystal ball that you taught your A-ranked secret jutsus to? Is there a certain S-ranked secret you want to tell them about too? The third peered down at Naruto with a smirk as he pretended to do paperwork. Naruto looked away and muttered, maybe someday, Gigi, but not yet. Stop changing the subject. Those same friends of mine told me that your family tells you about the talk, and that because I think of you as the closest thing I have to family, it means you have to tell me about it. Naruto stared at the Hokage with his infamous puppy eyes. Why'd they tell him that? The next time I see those brats, I'm definitely assigning them the most tortuous D ranks. He saw Naruto looking at him expectantly. If I don't tell him now, he'll think I don't think of him as family. Minato, what am I supposed to do now? I can't destroy that innocence in his eyes. Hiruzen thought, avoiding Naruto's bright innocent eyes. It's not that I don't want to tell you, Naruto, it's just that. He trailed, unable to finish. Oh, Naruto began to droop. No, it's just that the one in your family who tells you should be the closest to your age, he rambled, a plan forming in his mind. In fact, don't you think of Iruka as your big brother? You should ask him to tell you about the talk. Here, give him this note and tell him it's the Hokage's orders. Perfect, now Iruka has to tell him. It's good being Hokage. Naruto looked wide-eyed at Hiruzen and jumped up to hug him. Thanks, Gigi, he yelled and ran off to find Iruka. After a long morning of training, Team 8 was taking a break to eat lunch. They were sitting on a picnic blanket and Hinata was holding a basket of food. Wow, it tastes wonderful, Hinata. The crunchy things are really yummy. Kiba said with his mouth full, crumbs flying everywhere. Hinata, the cut fruit are delicious. My Kakaichu convey their thanks. Shino tipped his head towards Hinata. Thanks Kiba, Shino. I am glad you like them. I was going to bring some on the weekend to share with the other teams. You mean Naruto, Kiba teased, while Hinata ducked her head and blushed. It's obvious you like him, Hinata. You're lucky he doesn't notice. He's as thick as a brick. Hinata looked down once more and said, no, he doesn't notice because of his feelings to Sakura. Hinata is most likely correct, Shino analyzed. Shut up, Shino. No one asked you anyways. Naruto probably doesn't even know why he likes Sakura. Kiba patted Hinata's back. He is on his way. Perhaps we can ask him and settle it once and for all. Shino looked at the path keenly. He is coming here right now? Hinata squeaked anxiously. Calm down, Hinata. Kiba shall do the talking. Shino said as Naruto walked towards them. Hey, guys, have you seen Iruka-sensei? He wasn't at the academy and I need to talk to him. Sorry, Naruto, we didn't see him, but I wanted to ask you a question. Yeah? Why do you like Sakura? Kiba blurted out. Naruto blushed and rubbed the back of his head before speaking. It's because she was the first one I remembered to smile at me and play with me in the park. No one else even looked at me when I was little. But I don't think she remembers. He smiled sadly. The look was so strange on his face that Kiba immediately wanted it gone. What if someone else liked you and wanted to smile with you? He asked. Naruto snapped his head up to Kiba, stunned. Kiba, I never knew you felt that way. I'm sorry, but I cannot return your feelings. He started tearing up while Hinata hid her face and giggled. Shino too was shaking from suppressed laughter. What? No, not me. I'm not in love with you. Kiba practically squealed. I meant someone in general, not me. He looked scandalized that Naruto even suggested that. Phew, Naruto sighed, relieved. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but the truth is, even if Sakura-chan told me she wanted to go out with me right now, I'd turn her down. Although I care about her, and I want to let her know of my feelings towards her, I cannot love anyone yet. Why not? Kiba asked, bewildered, while Shino and Hinata listened intently. Because I am not strong enough to protect someone yet. Naruto smiled dreamily before walking away, leaving Team 8 confused. Caught up in their thoughts, they did not hear him murmur, and I do not understand what love means anyways. Where is Iruka-sensei? He needs to tell me about the talk. Naruto wondered as he left the academy. Iruka nowhere in sight. Maybe Team 10 will know, I'll go ask them. Iruka was picking up some herbs in the forest to show his students when he felt a strange shiver run down his back. He stopped picking the mushrooms and wondered what the bad feeling was about. Must be nothing. I'm getting paranoid. He shrugged and looked down at the mushrooms he collected. There seems to be a lot of dreamy truth mushrooms. I better warn everyone not to eat them. Iruka chuckled and remembered how Naruto always mixed up these mushrooms with the more harmless cooking mushrooms that civilians use. I hope he's grown out of that habit. At least these aren't molding mushrooms. Now those are poisonous and way worse. He shuddered at the thought of Naruto eating those. Team 10 was also trying out some cooking after a morning of training. So, how does it taste? It's a lot better than the burnt rocks Ino brought. Nice work, Choji. Shikamaru smacked his lips appreciatively. Shut up, Shika. It was my first time. Next time they'll taste so good, you'll be begging for more. I'll even get Choji to help me, just wait and see. Ino's eyes flared with anger. Shikamaru just rolled his eyes at her. That'll be the day, he muttered under his breath. He squinted a bit when he noticed an orange blur in the distance that looked like it was coming closer. Is that Naruto? Who else wears an orange jumpsuit? Or a jumpsuit period? Ino demanded. Somewhere in Konoha, two bull-haired men wearing green jumpsuits sneezed. Lee, I think someone complimented our most youthful uniforms. Let us run 12 more laps around Konoha to show everyone the springtime of youth. Yosh, Guy-sensei. Lee, Guy-sensei. Lee. Somewhere in the distance, an unfortunate bystander caught in the display moaned, "Make it stop. My eyes. They burn." That villager was admitted into the psych ward, never to return. To this day, no one knows what is wrong with him. The fearsome power of the youthful sunset genjutsu shows itself once more. Any ninja who saw the man thought, poor civilians, unable to stand up to its fearsome might due to their lack of chakra. This incident begins the legend of the sunset, but that is another story. Naruto approached Team 10 and asked, "Hey, did you guys see Iruka-sensei?" "Nope, sorry Naruto," Choji said between munching his chips. "Hey, Naruto, why do you always wear an orange jumpsuit?" "Although I do love the color orange, if I had a choice I would not wear so much of it every day. It is the only thing the villagers will sell to me. They told me the orange would make enemy nin spot me so they could kill me faster and refused to sell me anything else." He smiled melancholily. Ino didn't like it at all. "The bright orange really helps train my stealth, though. Now I can hide from all Anbu trackers in plain sight even without using that special jutsu. Which is good because it drains way too much chakra. Why don't you try to buy from the traveling merchants or dye your clothes? Everyone overcharges me because they hate me so I don't have enough money to buy anything but food." Choji and Shikamaru were watching Naruto with wide eyes. "What did you do to them? Why do they hate you so much?" Ino asked distressed. "I was born. They hate my existence and wish I would die," Naruto said simply before drifting away, leaving Team 10 standing there in shock. "I know Naruto does a few pranks here and there, but to hate him that much because of them?" Choji asked shocked. "It might be his parents they hate," Shikamaru suggested. "But that doesn't make sense either. Naruto is an Uzumaki which was like a sister to Konoha before they got wiped out. We even wear their swirl on our jackets to show our partnership with them. They should be treating Naruto like Sasuke, not an outcast. This doesn't make any sense," Ino groaned. Naruto skipped along the path to the academy deciding to look there again for Iruka. "Iruka-sensei, are you there?" he called out while sticking his head into the teacher's break room. "Naruto, what are you looking for?" Iruka asked with concern, noticing Naruto looked a little strange. It's almost as if No, it must be just my paranoia. Shaking his thoughts away, he refocused on Naruto. "What's this?" he asked about the note Naruto was giving him. "Gigi said you had to tell me about the talk because you're the closest thing I have to family that's near my age and are like my big brother." Hokage's orders. Iruka paled at the words, "the talk." He looked at the note and saw, "Iruka, it is time for you to let a child blossom into a man and follow the path of fire. Congratulations on being the one to tell Naruto about the talk. He's excited to hear about this family secret from his big brother. Don't disappoint him. Here is in Sarutobi. P.S. You have no choice." Hokage's orders. Smiley face. Iruka cleared his throat a few times trying to think of the best way to put this so Naruto understood. So, Naruto, remember how girls and boys are different? Well, sometimes when a boy grows up he really likes a girl. Like Sakura-chan? Yeah, or a boy in some cases. Anyways, when two people love each other they get married and want to have a family. I don't think I could ever have a family. They might get hurt by my enemies. Trust me, one day you will want a family and kids. Even though it is hard to protect them, it's worth it in the end. Iruka smiled at Naruto. Do you want one? Not yet, I'm waiting for the right special someone. So, after marriage, if you want kids you have to have a boy and a girl. You can either be born this way or use your Oryo no jutsu for this, but you have to have a boy and a girl. Then the boy, is like a bee and goes into a mouth? Kiba said his sister swallowed a bee once. No, wait, actually sometimes yes. You know what, forget about the bee. So, the boy is like a stick. Yes, the boy is like a popsicle stick and you stick him into some water which is the girl and they freeze in the fridge for 8 to 9 months and you have a baby popsicle. What, so the mom eats a baby and poops it out? Is that why they're so fat? From eating popsicle babies? No, Iruka groaned wondering how to say this. I guess I'll just have to be blunt, otherwise Naruto will never get it. Okay, listen closely, Naruto, because I'm only going to say this once. So, a man sticks himself into a girl using his. Wait, are you talking about? Iruka's sweat dropped. You already knew about? Yeah, Iruka-sensei. How else could I make my Oryo no jutsu so lifelike without seeing it? Plus, I lived in the red light district for a bit when I was 4 and the orphanage kicked me out. Of course, I know about, but what does that have to do with babies? Oh, this is much easier. So, two people have as a boy and a girl to make babies. When the man releases into the girl, a baby can form inside the girl. That's why people have to be careful when they make love. Wait, you never mentioned living there to me. Iruka fretted, concerned about Naruto. It wasn't that long, and Gigi found me soon after. But I'll never forget the things I saw while I was there. I just don't talk about it because it makes Gigi sad and people don't really like hearing about it. Actually, I don't know why I mentioned it right now either. He smiled vacantly at Iruka, who frowned at him, filing that piece of information away for later. Naruto, did you eat mushrooms you found in the forest again? Iruka asked sternly. Maybe. Naruto whistled and looked away from Iruka-sensei. Naruto. Iruka threatened. Okay, I only ate a few because I was so hungry and saw them near the place I fish. And I only ate the ones that look like the ones in the marketplace and I cooked them before I ate them. I was just so hungry and no fish were biting. I think they were spooked by the thunderstorm. Okay, Naruto, I understand. You must have mistakenly eaten dreamy truth mushrooms. They make you tell the truth to everything and make you forget about the stuff you didn't want to say. It'll be like waking from a dream after they wear off. It should have kicked in sometime after your meeting with the third. You should remember what we talked about here, but you'll probably forget about some of the stuff earlier in the day. Did you talk to anyone else today? Yeah, I talked to teams 8 and 10, but I can't really remember what I said to them. You better go tell them that you accidentally ate some dreamy truth mushrooms so they don't get worried about you. Okay, thanks Iruka-sensei. Naruto yelled over his shoulder as he ran out to find his friends. Yup, anytime kiddo. Iruka chuckled and sat back at his desk. Now I just need to get back at the Hokage for making me give Naruto the talk. I think I'll make him do extra paperwork and hide his icha from him tomorrow. Iruka cackled creepily to himself, while Hiruzen suddenly felt a few cold shivers travel down his spine. The third meeting, and 2 weeks before the C-ranked a wave. The next day, teams 8 and 10 were worried for Naruto and it showed in their missions. Kurenai noticed Hinata kept staring at the sky and sighing, while Kiba kept muttering about love and protection. Even Shino seemed more aggravated than usual, his bugs buzzing non-stop noisily. What is wrong with them today? Did Kiba confess to Hinata and did she reject him? Is Shino jealous of Kiba or Hinata? I guess I'll have to follow them today to find out. Asuma, on the other side of the village, was deciding to follow his genin team too. Shikamaru was painting the fence with the wrong side of his brush and didn't even notice. Choji wasn't munching on chips like usual. Instead, he looked like he was fussing over a picnic basket. Even Ino was less noisy today. In fact, she hadn't shouted at anyone the whole day. She was sitting under the tree, sleeping? There is something going on here. Either Shika got Ino pregnant and Choji is in charge of Ino's diet, or I'm missing something here. Yup. There is nothing to do but to watch them for the rest of the day. And that's why when teams 8 and 10 met at Ichiraku's, they were followed by their Junin senseis. Asuma and Kurenai were in the same booth watching their genin wait for something. So, what do you think they're doing, Kurenai? I do not know, Asuma. Perhaps they are planning a surprise birthday party for a friend? They seem distressed for some reason. Yes, missions today were more of a pain than usual. None of them were even paying attention. Then again, the missions were all D ranks. Maybe they're plotting together to get a C rank? Asuma was about to reply when he noticed the genin look up at the door. They were clearly waiting for someone. The door opened and a big orange blur joined the genin at the table. It's too bad we cannot hear from here, Kurenai lamented. Asuma smirked and held a small device in front of the table. I bugged the table they're sitting at. They heard Naruto's voice come through first. Hey guys. How have you been? Kakashi-sensei still won't let us take more than one mission and is still taking a lot of the pay, so I can't buy any ramen today either. He grimaced at the thought of no ramen. Asuma and Kurenai were appalled that Kakashi took some of his genin's mission pay for D ranks. He doesn't even give them enough to live off of. They thought heatedly. Instead of buying food, we thought it would be better to bring food and have a potluck type of meeting. Ino excitedly brought out a basket of food. Choji made most of the food, but I helped decorate the cookies. She smiled proudly. We too have brought food. Shino added as Hinata placed a small basket on the table. I contributed some honey and Kiba some meat, while Hinata made the food. Wow, I'll bring something next time. I didn't know we were bringing food to this meeting. I was a bit indisposed yesterday, so I forgot to ask my teammates if they wanted to come. Naruto scratched the back of his head while smiling sheepishly. Yeah, you said some things yesterday. Kiba began only to be cut off by Naruto. I don't remember what I said to you guys yesterday. I accidentally ate some dreamy truth mushrooms, so I have no idea what I told you, but everything I said was the truth. You literally cannot lie, according to Iruka-sensei, when you eat those mushrooms. Is it true, Naruto-kun, that you wish to become stronger before loving someone? Hinata asked shyly. Naruto rubbed the back of his head before answering, yeah, if I want to love someone enough to have a family with them, then I need to be strong enough to first protect those precious to me. But why would you have to protect them to love them? Kiba asked confused. Akamaru yipped in agreement. Naruto took some time to answer this. There have only been two people to ever love me, Gigi and Iruka-sensei. I think my parents loved me, but I'm not sure. Gigi won't tell me much about them. When I love someone, I don't want to have to leave them, and I don't want them to leave me. I already lost my parents, and I almost lost Iruka-sensei too. I don't want to lose anyone ever again, so I have to get strong enough to be able to protect them and me. Asuma and Kurenai winced, remembering the report of a windmill shuriken almost killing Iruka when he confronted Mizuki in the forest. That sounds very admirable, Naruto. I agree with your statements and commend you for thinking about love that way, Shino approved. He nodded at Naruto, who was blushing. He didn't mean to say that much. It all just came tumbling out. I guess those mushrooms are still making me weird. But it felt nice to say that. There was some silence as everyone chewed their food. Who made this? It's delicious. Naruto's thoughts quickly became consumed by the mouth-watering honey barbecued meat. Yes, I want the recipe. I love barbecued meat, and this is almost as good as yakiniku cues. Choji exclaimed, surprising Team 8 and Naruto by his passion. Ino groaned, oh, great. He's never going to stop now. Choji continued extolling the values of meat, and it helps build up muscles. The honey also is a perfect combination to soften the meat. And I've never had this quality honey before. Just where did you find it from? And Choji, shut up before I make you. Ino finally snapped and slammed Choji into the table. Team 8's and Naruto's eyes bugged out seeing Ino's sudden strength. Is that normal? Naruto asked, his eyes still wide. Unfortunately, Shikamaru grumbled as he picked at his meat. This stuff is delicious. Did you make this all by yourself, Hinata? Kate, Kiba and Shino supplied the meat and honey. It was a group effort. Hinata blushed. Wow, you're amazing, Hinata. Naruto looked at Hinata only to see her blushing even harder and start swaying. Are you alright, Hinata? You look sick, he said, getting closer to Hinata. Why yes Naruto-kun, I am all right. Please do not worry, Hinata reassured him while doing her best not to faint. Quick, remember what Kurenai-sensei said she used to do when Asuma-sensei was nearby. Breathe in, 1, 2, breathe out, 1, 2. Kiba coached recognizing he signs of Naruto overload. At the table in the corner, Asuma smirked at Kurenai. He raised an eyebrow and said, "Really, Kurenai? You had trouble breathing next to me?" He shifted closer to Kurenai and whispered, "Do you still feel that way now? Having any breathing problems?" Shut up. That was back when I had a crush on you. Oh, and you don't have that crush anymore? He drawled. Nope, and if you come any closer, you won't have something still attached to you at the end of this meal. Asuma pouted. But Kurenai, if I don't have all my body parts, how can I take you out on a date? Bribery, she dryly answered as Asuma scooted further away from her gloomily. It's not fair. First, my genin eat me out of my paycheck and then my girlfriend threatens me. He ducked into the corner with a small storm cloud forming over his head. And I'll make those threats reality if you don't pay attention. Now, watch. It looks like they stopped eating. Meanie, Asuma pouted. Shush. The genin finished up their food without noticing the suspicious Junin watching them from the corner. So, Naruto, does everyone really hate you that much? Ino finally asked. Yeah, but I'm going to become Hokage so everyone will have to respect me and stop hating me. Who hates you? Kiba scrunched up his eyebrows confused. The villagers, Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Why? Kiba asked even more confused. Do you know if they might dislike your parents and transferred that hatred towards you? Shikamaru asked. Nah, they blame me, I guess. Naruto sighed remembering how the villagers still saw him as the demon brat. What did you do to them? Prank them too much? Ino wondered. Something like that. Naruto answered half-heartedly trying to avoid everyone's concerned eyes. It did seem a bit too extreme for anyone in Konoha to hate an Uzumaki as they hail from our now destroyed sister village. Uzushio, Shikamaru added thoughtfully as he pulled out a thick book from his bag. I brought this for you. I remembered you said you didn't have anyone to teach you about your clan, so I copied down the stuff our clans and the library had about your clan. I thought you might like to. Shikamaru had to stop talking as he found himself being tackled by the blonde. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Naruto mumbled as he hugged Shikamaru on the floor. Maybe I can finally find out something about my parents. Shikamaru huffed but was smiling. You're welcome, you troublesome blonde, he muttered as he ruffled Naruto's soft hair. Now get off, you're squishing me. Naruto laughed, sorry, before getting up, still hugging the book tightly to his chest. Also in the book are some beginner and intermediate seals. It was all I could find, but you can probably experiment a little with your shadow clones because even if they blow up, nobody would get hurt. It's part of your clan's legacy, so I included all I could find about it. Team 8 also helped us. Naruto's eyes shined a little as he faced the group. Thank you guys so much. I love it, he exclaimed as he protectively held the book. This is one of the best gifts I've ever received other than Gama-chan. Gama-chan? Choji questioned. Yeah, he was my only friend until the academy. Naruto rummaged in his pocket and proudly showed Gama-chan off. Naruto, Ino began, that's a wallet. The others' sweat dropped as they saw Naruto pout. Well, no one wanted to talk to me so I talked to Gama-chan. Anyways, thank you all so much for this gift. I don't know how to repay you all. Save it man, you showed us those super awesome jutsu so call it even. Kiba pumped his fist in the air. Yes Naruto, those jutsu could save our lives. It's more than enough for the book, Ino answered. Indeed Naruto. If you prefer, think of it as an early birthday gift, Shino added. Thanks, Naruto gulped. He felt warm inside and lighter than usual. Everyone there was smiling at him happily. Is this what friendship feels like? He watched as Ino scooped up the leftovers and packed them into a box with Hinata while Shino's Kakaichu stole some of Choji's meat. He smiled as he saw Kiba and Shikamaru throwing a few meat pieces for Akamaru to catch and eat. I never want this feeling to end. I don't want to be lonely ever again. This feels as good as Gigi's love. They see me for who I am. He smiled bitterly as a thought popped up. I've never felt this way around Sasuke or Sakura-chan. I guess, I don't actually love her. He clenched his fists harder around the book. I'll just have to try harder. They're my team and I want to get along with them. He peeked at the table again and a thought struck him when he saw the picnic basket. No, wait, it just might work. Hey, guys? He coughed once to get their attention. When everyone was looking at him, he began again, can you help me with something? We're not going to prank someone, Naruto. Ino shouted. What? No, not that. I stopped that anyways when I became a ninja. The group was surprised to hear that. No, I want to, and he explained his plan. They looked at each other before nodding that they'd help. Great, thanks. So, I was thinking of doing something like this. At the corner table, Asuma and Kurenai were watching their genin with warm eyes. They're good kids, Asuma said with pride in his voice. Yeah, Kurenai agreed, leaning into his side. It was nice of them to do that for Naruto. Asuma agreed. Kurenai suddenly sat up straight. I think we should have a talk with Kakashi about taking his students' money. Don't you agree? Her eyes gleamed as she turned around and stared at Asuma, who let out a small whimper. Why yeah, let's go teach him a lesson. And burn his orange books. Reading them in front of his students, what is he thinking? The nerve of that man. Asuma gulped, feeling a surge of pity towards Kakashi. As long as she never finds mine, or worse, my father's. Both Junin shunshined out, one eager while the other sweating as he was coerced by his girlfriend. Just as most of the newest genin generation of Konoha was meeting today, the current generation of clan heads was also meeting today, coincidentally at the same place, the Nara head house. This house had a special feature that made it the perfect place to meet at. It had hidden cameras surveilling the village and all the other rooms of the house. This was only known to those who held the position of special Junin and above. It was this very day that the clan heads were meeting for an important reason concerning their very precious heiresses and heirs. In fact, this day. Ow, why'd you do that? Inoichi Yamanaka groaned as he rubbed the rather large bump on his head Sume Inuzuka gave him. Sume grinned ferally at him and pointedly looked at his writing. You were rambling in the written record again. She deadpanned as Shikaku Nara and Choza Akamichi both watched their former genin teammate, amused. Now that we have that settled, can we get back to the reason this meeting was called? Hiyashi Hyuga dryly asked as he gestured to the large mounted screen on the wall. Yes, I do believe that would be wise, Shibi Aburame agreed. It is quite unfortunate that the third will have to miss this meeting. I heard that he is indisposed due to paperwork. The clan heads shuddered in revulsion, clearly remembering their most fearsome foe, paperwork. We are still waiting for the Junin sensei to arrive, Shikaku reminded them. The handle to the window opened. Ah, I believe that is them right now. The window opened up to show Asuma entering and holding out his hand for Kurenai to follow after him. Surprisingly, a head of gray gravity-defying hair also poked its way in. Shikaku skeptically narrowed his eyes at Kakashi. It is a surprise to see you here so early, Kakashi. You must really like your team this time around. Ma, Kakashi rubbed the back of his head. Of course, I came to watch my cute little genin. I wouldn't miss it for Konoha. He tried to look convincing. Kurenai snorted and mumbled, yeah, and I threatened to destroy his Icha if he didn't come. The clan heads relaxed once more, realizing that no, Kakashi was not an imposter, and that he was only on time due to blackmail. Kakashi pouted when he saw no one really believed he would actually ever be on time. I wouldn't have been too late this time. Only an hour or two. He thought sullenly. I see. Shikaku continued and turned on the screen. Let the traditional watching of the genin commence. He declared as everyone watched the screen focus upon their children. Rendezvous point number 7 in the village, nearby the Nara compound. Let's go. Naruto excitedly set off into a direction before he was harshly yanked by his cuff. Ino. Ino ignored him. Naruto, we have to wait for Team 8 to show up before we go. She released him and he went flying into the tree before face planting on the ground hard. How troublesome. Shikamaru groaned as he remembered that there was a clan meeting held at his place today. He shrugged. It's only a few more people, and no one will be using the kitchen anyways. It should be fine. He looked at Naruto, who was dazedly talking to a tree he thought was Shino. Probably. Choji munched on some chips, excited for once about what was going to happen later today. We can make tarts and pancakes and eat strawberries and cherries, or wait. I can make ice cream and… With each new thought about food his eyes glazed over more and more as a tiny drool puddle started forming. Fried barbecue and spicy chicken with some mashed potatoes and mini sandwiches for a picnic. And, of course, drinks like lemonade and sparkling juice. He snapped out of his daze when he saw Ino smack Naruto again and winced. Maybe we shouldn't have anything too sugary. Naruto shook off his dizziness and noticed Team 8 walking towards them and yelled out a greeting, "Yo! Guys, you ready? Hey Naruto, whose house are we going to?" Kiba greeted. "Mine," Shikamaru stated. "There might be some of the clan heads there too for a meeting, but we'll be in the kitchen, so we won't really see them." "Oh yeah, I remember Mom saying something about a meeting there. It's too bad Akamaru couldn't have come. He would have loved to taste the food." "Fleas? Ouch," Ino winced at the thought of black furry creatures climbing up her body. "Nah, just a daily checkup. Shouldn't be too bad," Kiba shrugged. "We can always pack him some leftovers." Hinata consoled Kiba while Shino patted his teammate's shoulders. Naruto couldn't help but feel a sting in his chest at their easy camaraderie. "Alright, guys, we should get going soon. My house is that way," Shikamaru gestured to the forest behind them. "Yeah, it's going to rain soon," Naruto agreed. "No way. There aren't any clouds anywhere and it's bright and sunny." Ino protested. Naruto sniffed and replied, "It is too. I can smell it. It's about 4 minutes away." Shino added, "My Kakaichu also sense a disturbance in the atmosphere. Bad weather is on its way." He opened his jacket to let his Kakaichu settle, protected inside. "See? Shino agrees." Naruto smiled at Shino, who nodded back. "If that's the case, we better hurry." Choji interrupted the argument and hauled Ino towards the front. They were quickly followed by Team 8 while Naruto and Shikamaru took the back. "So, how's studying your past been going?" Shikamaru asked, interested, as they made their way along the trail to his house. "Going good," Naruto replied excitedly. "I've learned so much about them. You know, normally I don't like reading much. But when I read this, I feel closer to my family, or at least what would have been my family." Naruto grinned as he felt warmth fill his chest. "It's too bad that I don't have the clan's red hair," Naruto pouted, fingering his blonde locks. "It's okay, blonde suits you more. Reminds me of sunshine with your happy and energetic personality." Shikamaru unconsciously petted Naruto's hair as he blurted out his thoughts, feeling the need to comfort his friend. "Better than red anyways," he mumbled, a little embarrassed as he didn't mean to say that. Naruto didn't notice and thanked Shikamaru. "Really? Thanks. I thought I might be related to Ino because of the blonde, you know? But no one in her clan has my shade of yellow. Theirs is paler." Naruto frowned again, wondering about his mysterious parents. "Well, you'll find out eventually because the Hokage obviously knows. You just need to get strong enough to defeat their enemies," Shikamaru consoled. Naruto beamed at Shikamaru. "You always know just what to say, Shika." Shikamaru's cheeks tinted a slight pink as replied, "Yeah, well. Oh look, we're here. Awesome." Naruto pointed at the clan compound as they approached the earth walls surrounding it. Shikamaru nodded at the guards and the 7 made their way to his house. "Whoa, there are so many people here. And they're all your family?" Naruto asked in awe. "Most are distant relatives while others are under our clan's protection. Most of my relatives live in the clan head house with us," Shikamaru explained, gesturing to the large house in the center. The group walked towards the house and noticed most of their parents were there for the meeting. It must be an important meeting. There are so many people. Naruto counted at least 6 people before he was interrupted by Kiba pulling him into the kitchen. "Nah, it's just our parents," Kiba responded while he bounded into the kitchen and dropped into a chair with Naruto near him. Choji began getting out the utensils while Hinata and Ino cleared the table. "So, what were you thinking of making, Naruto?" Shikamaru asked, taking Naruto's bag of ingredients from him. "I thought we could make some umeboshi. I know you usually use dried sea salt plums, but I thought we could substitute it with these tomatoes I had Iruka-sensei pick up. They're really like plums, so I thought it should work," Naruto explained as he held up a tomato for the rest to see. "Right, and this wouldn't have anything to do with how Sasuke's and Sakura's favorite foods are tomatoes and umeboshi?" Shikamaru smirked as he raised an eyebrow at Naruto. "Well, maybe a little of that too," Naruto conceded as he blushed and rubbed the back of his head. "If I make something they both like, they'll have to eat with me," Naruto exclaimed with a fire in his eyes. He was determined to have lunch with his teammates this weekend. "Sounds good to me," Kiba barked out as he licked his lips, imagining tasting all the food they'd make. "I call dibs on being a taster. I also would like to be a taster. I am looking forward to the umeboshi." They suit the warm weather we have been having. Shino agreed with Kiba and sat at the table. Shikamaru also joined Kiba and Shino at the table, silently designating himself as a taste tester too. So, it's me, Choji, Ino, and Hinata who are all cooking. Great, let's get started, Naruto chirped excitedly standing next to Choji. Hang on, Naruto. Choji patiently stopped Naruto and turned to Ino. Ino, you're not allowed to use the fire or add any ingredients. You may decorate if the time comes. Choji sternly instructed Ino, not forgetting the last 3 times Ino started a fire trying to cook cereal. Ino just huffed and sat at the table as Choji began mixing flour in with the other ingredients and directing Naruto to help every now and then. How have your trainings been going? Naruto asked them when he had a free moment in between measuring. They've been boring so far. Asuma-sensei hasn't taught us anything new and keeps making us go through his tactics trainings for combinations. I think he's just too lazy to teach us anything else. He really likes playing shogi with Shika, Ino answered, picking her head up from the table to send a glare at Shikamaru. I've already told you, troublesome woman, that we're going through team combat simulations. We aren't just playing, Shikamaru emphasized while holding his hands up in a gesture of surrender. Yeah, we're working on combinations right now, so he didn't learn any new jutsu yet, Choji supplemented as he took the tray from Hinata and greased it. You guys are lucky, all we've been doing is building up our strength. Kurenai-sensei tried teaching us some genjutsu, but none of us really have the affinity. We're more tracker or taijutsu fighters, Kiba groaned, remembering the genjutsu Kurenai trapped him in. A world with only cats, he shivered at the horrifying thought. We also have not learned any new jutsus, Shino added. Kurenai-sensei taught us more about tracking, though. We can find the trails of people that go through water now and those who can hide their scents, Hinata defended Kurenai. That is true, Shino conceded. Our cohesiveness has also increased with our skills being raised. But I wanted to learn some new jutsus. Kiba whined. You'd think after learning how to do them without seals, that they'd teach us more. But no, it's always. You need to have more control, Kiba. You're not ready for this jutsu yet, Kiba, he complained. At least you guys are training together, Naruto started. We just did the mission with Kakashi-sensei and then he leaves. Sasuke Teme and Sakura-chan don't even want to stay after that to work on any combos. Naruto pouted, remembering how his teammates had ignored him. That's why you're making lunch today, Shikamaru reminded Naruto. When they join you to eat their favorites, why don't you bring up training together in the conversation, he suggested. I dunno, Naruto was unconvinced. I don't think they're going to stick around for lunch today. He looked down, but before anyone could comfort him, he looked up with a burning gaze and declared, but I won't give up. Because that's my ninja way. The others only smiled at Naruto. Yeah, because if you gave up, we'd have to check for an imposter, Kiba joked. Naruto only grinned at him and then shuddered. What's wrong, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked, noticing his troubled look. It's nothing, he answered. Just felt like we were being watched. You might be sensing the hidden cameras in the room, Shikamaru wondered. Maybe our parents are watching us. They're in the security room. He lazily pointed out. Why would they be watching us, Kiba asked. Don't they have anything better to do with their days? It's some lame tradition, Ino spoke up, rolling her eyes. The clans meet up and stalk every genin generation's 4th meeting. How do you know? Naruto asked. Please, Ino scoffed. It's not like they're secretive about it. My dad keeps winking at me and Shika's dad practically forced him to invite us over today, saying he wanted to see his new teammates. Like he hasn't seen us all since our births. She snorted and waved a dismissive hand. Shika knew about the cameras since before the academy. It's not that hard to figure out. Especially because of the red blinking dot that shows that the camera is on, Shikamaru dryly pointed out. That's creepy, Naruto shuddered, once again feeling someone watching him. How many cameras are in this room anyways? Only one in that corner over there. Shikamaru pointed directly at the camera by the stove. He disabled the other ones before coming in here. Choji put in his own words and Shikamaru looked a little sheepish. Yeah, well, I didn't want to be too close to the screen, he defended while crossing his hands. That's weird, Naruto frowned. I saw the camera over there, but I feel that someone else is watching us. He walked towards the table the tasters were sitting at. It's coming from there, he pointed at the salt shaker on the table. Strange, Shikamaru muttered, looking at the salt shaker as Hinata activated her Byakugan. I can see a camera underneath the lid. Hinata spoke, sounding shocked, while Shikamaru unscrewed the lid. By now, even Choji was frowning and walked over to the table after he had placed the umeboshi in the oven. Shikamaru popped the lid off and sure enough, there was a small red blinking light on the underside of the lid. Who put this here? He mumbled as he inspected the small camera after disabling it. There seems to be a symbol on the bottom of the camera, Shino spoke up. Shikamaru turned over the little device to reveal 3 solid lines followed by 2 broken ones. I've seen that symbol before, Naruto surprised the others. It was in that book of seals you gave me. You actually finished that book? There must have been more than 1,000 pages in it and you could never finish a book at the academy. Shikamaru exclaimed incredulously. Yeah, well, it was really interesting, Naruto explained sheepishly before becoming serious again. There's a seal that transmits and hides in the symbol which has been known to be used by some disbanded organization Konoha once had, known as Root. He unconsciously repeated what he read from the book. But why's it here? He wondered, looking at Shikamaru, who only shrugged. I don't know. I'll show it to my parents later. Maybe they forgot to disable some of the equipment once Root disbanded? He tried to think of a logical reason. Yeah, maybe, Naruto agreed but looked unconvinced like the rest of the table. So, anyways, how far have you gotten with your seal training, Naruto? Shikamaru tried changing the subject. Naruto beamed at him as he answered, not too far. I've only reached 7 to 1 of the intermediate section. How many chapter are there? Ino asked, trying to understand if this was a good amount or not. There were 10 chapters for the beginner section and there are another 10 for the intermediated section. I'm going to have to ask Kakashi-sensei or Gigi if they have a copy of the next section soon. Wow, that's far. Choji whistled. Yeah, but when you have shadow clones practice for you, it makes everything easier, Naruto explained dismissively. So, what have you learned so far? Kiba asked. Right now, I'm learning how to identify seals on humans. Want me to check you guys out? Naruto asked giddily. Sure, Shikamaru answered, bemused. Okay. Naruto excitedly clapped his hands together and looked at the genin. Who wants to go first? Ooh, do me first. Kiba excitedly jumped around before Ino hit him with a fist. Haven't you ever heard of ladies first, dog breath? She sneered at Kiba and stood in front of Naruto. Okay, fine, but I get to go next. Kiba pouted and sat down waiting for his turn. Naruto nodded and held his hands in front of Ino, concentrating hard. You have a tracking seal on you? I think it was put on you when you were a baby by your parents. It's starting to fade away now and is almost gone, he said while pointing at a small dot that looked like a mole on Ino's shoulder. Yeah, I remember my mom telling me about this. She said that's how she found me whenever I wandered when I was a baby. Ino smiled at the memory. My turn. Kiba bellowed and pushed Ino out of the way. Naruto's sweat dropped before scanning Kiba too. You have a small seal by your ears that, I think, makes sound smaller? Naruto asked. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It helps me hear. My mom put it there because I complained about Sakura, and I mean Sakura's, no one else's, only Sakura's loud screeches. Kiba backpedaled as he saw the murderous glint in Ino's eyes. Have you ever tried releasing it? Shino asked, interested in his teammate's senses. Sometimes, Kiba shrugged. When there aren't any loud peep, I mean noises, not people. Kiba quickly corrected his mistake, averting his eyes from Ino. Cool. Naruto chirped and scanned Shino. Whoa, Shino. Your clothes are amazing. He looked at Shino in awe. You've got like 6 seals on them instead of you. The waterproof, fireproof, and scentproof ones are awesome. Did they stitch the other 3 storage seals into your clothes? He drooled, imagining all the alterations he could add to his own jumpsuit. Shino looked pleased as he answered, yes, they were stitched into my clothes. My clan has similar seals stitched into their outfits to provide a safe habitat for our Kakaichu to travel in. That's so cool. I'm going to add protection and storage seals to my pockets too. Think of all the ramen I can carry on me. Naruto trailed off as he imagined the possibilities. The rest of the genin, except Choji, who was also drooling at the amount of food he could carry with him, sweat dropped. Can I have those seals too? Choji pleaded with sparkling eyes. Naruto quickly scanned Choji and noticed there were no seals on him. Sure, your clothes don't have any seals, so I can just add them to your pockets, he said excitedly. I just have to learn how to stitch seals first. It shouldn't take too long, I'll have some shadow clones work on it. He made a ram seal and contacted his training clones and commanded a few of them to work on learning how to stitch seals. When I have it down, I'll add some to your clothes. He posed with his thumbs up at Choji, who returned the pose. The rest of the genin just shook their heads at their antics. Naruto turned around and saw that Shikamaru was closer to him than Hinata. He held up his hands to scan Shikamaru. You have a communication seal on your earrings. I think they connect to earrings someone closely related to you has, but not your parents. Do you know who it is? Shikamaru looked startled as he fingered the tips of his ears. No, there shouldn't be anyone like that. He frowned and brought his hands together into his usual thinking position. My parents don't have any siblings and my grandparents are dead, so it can't be them. It doesn't have to be a close relative. It can be someone who has some of your blood too, Naruto clarified. I have never given anyone my blood before. Shikamaru frowned harder and decided to ask his parents about it later today. Maybe someone stole it from the hospital, Kiba pointed out. But the hospital's records are guarded by really strong shinobi. Ino shot down the idea. There's no way someone stole Shika's blood without anyone knowing. Not really, Naruto spoke up. I found a tunnel underground that goes there. He noticed everyone staring at him and tried to defend his actions. I only used it once for a prank. I just wanted to check if they were allergic to peanuts before I covered their whole apartment in peanut butter. He grinned, remembering how bewildered those villagers were. That was you? Why would you even feel the need to do that? Ino yelled. Naruto pouted and crossed his hands. They so deserved it. They tried to steal the money I got from Gigi. So, I followed them around for 3 days and found out their habits and where they lived. Then I slowly started covering everything they owned in peanut butter. First it was little things like their keys or clothes or paperwork. Then I started escalating until I finally covered their whole apartment and workplace in peanut butter. He cackled maniacally. The hardest part was hiding the peanut butter whenever they told anyone about it. He reminisced on his so-called prank. The other genin just stared at Naruto like he was crazy. They stole 1 million ryo from me. It was justified. The group could only sweat drop at Naruto's prank. Did you always pull these types of pranks on people when you were missing from the academy? Kiba had to ask. Naruto shook his head. Nope, just those who deserved it. He walked closer to Hinata and changed the subject. Okay, let me scan you for any seals. You're the last one. He put his hands up in front of Hinata and concentrated hard. You have a seal on you, well, not on you but connected to you. It feels horrible. It's slowly sucking up your chakra and connecting you to other seals. I think it used to be connected to someone else but then was transferred to you. He frowned as he stepped closer to Hinata. I think that you're sensing the Hyuga branch member's seal. It's supposed to allow members of the main household seal branch members' eyes, destroy them, and control their actions by destroying their brain cells, Hinata blurted out. The rest of the genin except Naruto looked horrified to hear about the seal. Hinata looked down, not knowing why she told everyone about her clan's secret seal. Yeah, I read about the caged bird seal in the book, but the connection you have is different than it. Whoever did this to you knows nothing about seals. The original seal was gifted to the Hyuga household by their distant Uzumaki relatives to help them keep their secrets even after death. It was just supposed to help instill feelings of protection and loyalty to the clan to never give up its secrets, he explained, remembering what the history book of his clan said. A similar seal was given to the Uchiha clan for their Sharingan. However, the caged bird seal was only a prototype. Neither clan wanted the new and improved seal design. Someone from your clan must have tweaked the original seal and turned it into this. What's wrong with it? Hinata asked anxiously. They changed it to control the others, which forced it to become parasitic. It's bad for everyone now. It slowly warps the minds of those who use it, and even if you don't use, it still leeches on your chakra and affects your mind, he explained, looking worriedly at Hinata. It latches onto your beliefs and slowly destroys them. For example, I believe in never giving up, so if I had the seal and never used it, it would constantly tell me to give up and to never fight back because I might hurt someone or something like that. Hinata was dumbfounded. She never fought with her younger sister because she didn't want her to get hurt or sealed. But now it seemed like the seal was influencing her thoughts all along. Could this be that small voice in my head telling me to always give up? And later I can make you the new and improved seal. I'm not that advanced yet. So, do you want me to do it? Naruto asked Hinata expectantly. I'm sorry, what did you say? Hinata was so lost in her thoughts she didn't hear the beginning of what Naruto said. I asked, if you wanted me to sever your connection to the seal? Naruto repeated. Yes, Hinata nearly shouted. She had always hated the seal and its power to affect others. She didn't want it tainting her thoughts any longer. Okay, but this might hurt a bit, Naruto said before closing his eyes and concentrating harder. Hinata nodded silently and prepared for some pain. Sweat began to form on Naruto's brow as he made a few hand signs. Suddenly, a piercing pain ripped its way through Hinata's forehead. She clenched her fists and bit her lip hard enough to bleed before the pain stopped and she relaxed. Whoa, it feels like a heavy burden I never knew was there has finally been removed. She looked at Naruto through the tears in her eyes. Thank you. She hugged him and tried to convey all her feelings in those 2 words. No problem. Naruto chirped back and patted her back gently, returning the hug after he got over the shock of someone hugging him. You're my friend. Of course, I'd help you. How do you feel now? Like a heavy weight has been removed, she let go and smiled bashfully at Naruto. The umeboshi is done, Choji announced from behind the counter. The genin crowded Choji, each waiting for a chance to taste what they had made. Mmmmmhmmm. It's so good, Naruto moaned. Almost as good as ramen. The genin nodded their heads in agreement. The umeboshi they had made was really good. I can't wait to try to eat them together with my team. Naruto beamed, imagining finally getting along with his teammates. Here, let's pack this up and then we can hide while you try to eat it with your team, Ino suggested and scooped up the umeboshi into a few containers and placed them into a bag. Sounds good, Naruto chittered as he bounded along, helping Ino with the packing. The 4th meeting. A parent's perspective. What are they talking about? Sume squinted up at the screen trying to make out what the genin were saying. Shikaku rubbed his chin. It appears they're talking about the weather. Naruto and Shino predict it will rain, while Ino doesn't agree. It's sunny outside, there's no way it's going to rain. Inoichi defended his daughter while gesturing at the sunny skies. On the contrary, it actually is going to rain. Young Naruto and my Shino are correct. It is marvelous to see how developed their senses are at this age. Shibi inputted, feeling proud of his son. Inoichi was about to respond, but Sume interrupted him. Who cares if it's going to rain? Quick, switch the camera to the indoors one. They already reached the checkpoint. Shikaku switched the screen to show the indoors. That's strange, he frowned. Only one camera appears to be working. Shikamaru probably disabled the other ones. Asuma smirked at the others' disbelieving faces. He does have an IQ of over 200. He probably didn't want to be watched, but knew he had to leave one active just in case. He looked at the screen to watch the other genin file in. Shikaku turned up the volume on the camera and they heard the genin talking about, of all things, making umeboshi with tomatoes? I'm surprised. Choji's using an ancient clan cooking technique to help make the umeboshi in the oven instead of waiting for it to dry out. He must really trust the other genin there, Choza thoughtfully remarked, watching his son flit around the kitchen. Why are they making umeboshi anyways? He wondered aloud as Shikamaru spoke up. The clan heads saw him smirk and say, right, and this wouldn't have anything to do with how Sasuke's and Sakura's favorite foods are tomatoes and umeboshi. Asuma let out a low whistle. Wow, Kakashi, your team must really get along well if Naruto, the dead last of all people, is trying to surprise his teammates with their favorite foods. I'm surprised, I didn't think you had it in you to get a team working together, Asuma said. Did you say something? Kakashi nonchalantly asked Asuma, whose sweat dropped at the usual guy response. So, Naruto wants to get along with Sasuke and Sakura badly enough that he found out their favorite foods to bribe them. Kakashi speculated. He knew his genin team didn't really get along well, but he had thought they at least been doing some exercises together without him. Was it really to the extent Naruto described, or was he merely exaggerating? I think I'll follow them and see how this picnic goes. Kakashi made up his mind as a shriek startled him out of his thoughts. Kiba, next time you complain about training, I'm going to trap you in an even scarier genjutsu. Kurenai vowed, a tick mark throbbing on her forehead. This time you'll be a male cat stuck in a world of only female cats all in heat. Sume involuntarily let out a small whimper at the thought of that nightmare becoming reality. Hiyashi just watched Kurenai from the corner of the room and wondered if it was really okay for Hinata to have her as a teacher. Well, at least she'll toughen up a bit. He saw Kurenai cackling and sweat dropped. Hopefully not to the point of Anko. He was jolted out of his thoughts when he heard the genin remark that they had already known about the clan heads watching them. Shikaku glared at Inoichi and threateningly asked, "Inoichi, why does your daughter know about the meeting?" Inoichi panicked and tried to defend himself. "Hey, she's not the only one who knows. Your Shika knew about the cameras too. And it's not my fault that Ino was too cute when she asked about the meeting. How was I supposed to not answer her?" He pouted, remembering how his daughter had coerced him into telling her about the secret meeting. "Actually, it seems you are the one at fault here, Shikaku," Hiyashi dryly pointed out, and Shikaku blushed at being seen through by a group of genin. "It seems I was mistaken. How troublesome," he admitted as Inoichi grinned at him smugly, his momentary panic forgotten. Shikaku sighed and glanced at the screen once more. He noticed with mounting alarm that the children had found another hidden camera, one that he did not own nor install. The other clan heads all looked at him, each wondering whose camera it was. Privately, he had a sneaking suspicion that the camera belonged to a certain councilman's supposedly disbanded organization. Kakashi also looked at the screen shocked, though his reason was different from the others who were still focusing on the mysterious hidden camera. Since when has Naruto been learning about seals? And he's already that advanced. He exhaled sharply as he heard how far along Naruto was. There are 100 chapters for each section, not 10. How fast did he finish them to already be on chapter 71 of the intermediate section? And to only have been studying for a week even with shadow clones, he's a genius. It must be in his blood. He thought as he recalled Minato's near-instinctual use of seals on a level that only Kushina understood. He narrowed his eyes at the screen, which was now focusing on the symbol. His thoughts echoed those of the clan heads around him. Danzo. It looks like Root hasn't really been disbanded. Shikaku had similar thoughts running through his head. How could he miss one of Danzo's seals on his own clan grounds? To not even notice that Danzo was spying on him, this was mortifying. He scrunched his eyebrows together and wondered. Does Hiruzen know that Danzo's root still exists? What a drag. Luckily Shikamaru disabled the camera before Naruto revealed who the symbol belonged to. Those earrings were also suspicious. Still, it was shocking to see that the dead last of the academy was the one who figured all this out. He had to admit that Naruto was one of the most surprising shinobi in Konoha. He marveled at the young blonde's proficiency in seals. He had his doubts before about the Jinchuriki's parentage, but if this wasn't proof, he didn't know what was. Fool Hiruzen, trying to hide who Naruto is. With that hair and those eyes, not to mention his grasp of seals, there's no doubt that he is those two's child. At this revelation, he grew sorrowful at the harsh treatment from the village the youngster had to face. Poor child, he must have been sabotaged at the academy to only show his potential now. He sighed and watched Naruto scan Hinata. Hiyashi had many thoughts running through his head after the root seal had been revealed. His first of many was disbelief. He couldn't believe that the child who had failed the academy exam, of all things, 3 times was the same one who was scanning the genin for seals. The fact that the young Jinchuriki was learning seals was alarming, but he calmed himself with the fact that seals were part of the Uzumaki clan heritage and therefore understandable for him to learn. But still, is he even qualified to scan for seals? If he remembered correctly, scanning seals was near the end of the intermediate section. Was it even possible for the blonde to sit still long enough to read through the first 100 chapters of the beginning section, not to even mention those of the intermediate section? By the time Naruto had finished scanning the other genin and had come to Hinata, Hiyashi had to admit his defeat. Naruto knew what he was doing and was most likely a seal prodigy. He fretted as Naruto's expression darkened when he scanned Hinata. He most likely found out about the caged bird seal. He paled at Naruto's next words. It latches onto your beliefs and slowly destroys them. For example, I believe in never giving up, so if I had the seal and never used it, it would constantly tell me to give up and to never fight back because I might hurt someone or something like that. He couldn't believe it. All along the seal was to blame for Hinata's attitude and the elders' behaviors. No, that can't be. The seal was passed down in our clan for decades. There's no way it could have been corrupting us. His frown deepened as the other clan heads looked at him in concern. But it does make sense. He faltered. The Hyuga clan's main and branch family wasn't separated until after a Hyuga seal master altered the seal. Damn it, he cursed, shocking the others in attendance. He's right, the seal is twisted. I'll have to talk to him about that new seal and maybe get Jiraiya's help inspecting the old seal. So, lost in his thoughts, he almost missed when Hinata agreed to getting her seal removed. Wait, can he even do it safely? He wanted to storm down there and stop it, but it was too late. He gasped as he felt a heavy malevolent force settle upon him. Is this how Hinata always felt? No wonder she always refused to use the seal. He could only hope that the damage the seal had done could be reversed. He no longer held any reservations. He was determined to remove all traces of the seals no matter what the elders said. He was clan head, not them, and they would respect his decisions even if it meant dissolving the branch house system and years of tradition. This is for the best. I never liked that seal anyways. His expression lightened as a certain possibility hit him. And perhaps I can tell Neji the truth of that day. He almost smiled at the thought of reconnecting with his estranged nephew. Sume and Shibi both scrutinized Hiyashi with concern. If what Naruto said was true, Hiyashi must be feeling terrible. They both knew that though Hiyashi might not look it, he cared deeply for his family. They never could forget how he had broken down the day his brother had died in his place. Or how he had waited 2 months to go to Shibi's house to mourn his wife after her funeral. They both remembered the time he had confessed how horrible he felt whenever he was forced to activate the curse seal, especially when he had to activate his brother's seal to protect Hinata. Just the fact he was showing so much emotion on his face alerted them to his inner turmoil. Sume gently rubbed Hiyashi's shoulders while Shibi attempted to make him feel better. Don't worry. Why? Because you can have the authority to remove the seal and replace it. Even the elders won't go against you. Why? Because you have proof that the new and improved version won't warp their minds. And that the old version is obsolete according to a seal master. How? Because young Naruto declared so, and he got all his information from the book that the children compiled, which took each clan's accounts about the Uzumaki clan from our libraries and therefore cannot be wrong, Shibi quickly calculated. Sume realized Shibi had slipped into his verbal tic and recognized he was agitated too on his friend's behalf. See that? There's no way they can refuse to change the seal now. And if they do, we can always pressure them by bringing in the third and having Seal Master Jiraiya analyze the seal and declare it corrupt. Sume reassured Hiyashi, who just nodded at his old teammates, glad that this could be fixed even if it took some time. No one else would ever have to suffer under the seal by the time he was through with them. The others' attentions returned to the screen once they saw Hiyashi regain his stoic, determined appearance and no longer seem bothered by the news. Looks like they're finishing up their meeting, Asuma stated as he noticed the genin packing up. Should we finish up too? I'm sure all of us has some business to take care of with these new revelations. Hiyashi and Shikaku nodded, thinking about the caged bird seal and the seals on Shikamaru's earrings respectively. Shibi also agreed and told the rest that he'd inform the third about Danzo and their suspicions. Inoichi and Choza decided to join him as they also had doubts about Root not being fully disbanded. See you guys later, Sume shouted over her shoulder and then jumped out the window. Shikaku groaned and muttered about being glad he had installed a handle for ninjas entering through the windows, while Asuma chuckled, reminded of his father's grumbles about window breaking and entering shinobi. Speaking of his father, he remembered that he had to give Kakashi a note from the Hokage. He turned towards where Kakashi had been, only to find that side of the room empty. Why did he leave so fast anyways? It's not like he was planning on being early to anything. While Asuma was wondering where Kakashi had gone, Kakashi had already made it to the other side of the training fields. He was waiting for Naruto to show up so he could spy on his most energetic genin's picnic. He heard a rustling noise and saw Naruto coming up the path with a basket in his hands. The others must be hiding in those bushes to watch. Naruto walked under the tree Kakashi was hiding in and sat at its base waiting for his teammates to arrive. I wonder if they'll actually show up. He wondered. They should be here in about 5 minutes. Naruto Ni-chan. A blue blur shouted before tackling Naruto to the ground, narrowly missing the picnic basket. Konohamaru? What are you doing here? Naruto asked in shock. Boss, you gotta help me, Konohamaru pleaded. What's wrong? Naruto asked worriedly when he noticed Konohamaru was serious. I was practicing how to henge like you showed me, but then there was this big guy who started talking to me weirdly, so I dropped my henge, but then he got mad, so he's chasing me now. He's right behind me. The words tumbled out. Konohamaru took in a deep breath and then started panicking again. Calm down, Naruto consoled. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll protect you no matter what. He promised to protect Konohamaru. In the distance, a tall buff man wearing a junin vest sprinted towards them. Oya, you thought you could trick me? You brat, I'm going to make you pay, he announced and stomped in front of Naruto, who hid Konohamaru behind him. With each step the man took, the ground rumbled and shook. The behemoth stood in front of Naruto and flexed his bulging muscles threateningly. He loomed over Naruto and crossed his meaty arms. His bald head glinted in the sunlight and his red face stood out against the greens of the training grounds. Luckily, he was only wearing his junin vest and wasn't carrying any other extra weapons other than a few kunai and shuriken. Naruto gulped and bravely shouted, "Hey! What's your problem?" Konohamaru was just practicing his henge for the academy. Why are you chasing him? Are you a stalker? Kakashi watched the situation closely, getting ready to interfere if it got out of hand. The man stepped closer and said, "You are." He rubbed his bald head in thought before exclaiming, "I know you. You're the demon brat." Naruto flinched a little at hearing that name but straightened up and glared at the man. The Junin smirked and menacingly said, "Move out of the way unless you want me to teach you a lesson." "No way," Naruto yelled. By then, the other genin had noticed something was wrong and were watching closely. "Oh? Then I want some compensation. Why don't you henge into that form again and let me touch you a bit? I'm sure no one would mind," he leered as he remembered Konohamaru's hanged form. Kakashi growled and released some killer intent at the other Junin. How dare he attempt to touch my cute little genin? He thought furiously, preparing to step in and teach the other Junin a lesson. The genin in the bushes were also prepared to attack at a moment's notice. No way were they allowing this creep come near Naruto. What Naruto did next shocked both Kakashi and the genin. Naruto turned around and grinned at Konohamaru. "Say, Konohamaru, you ready for your next ninja lesson? I'm going to teach you what to do when guys like this come near you." He smirked at the Junin in front of him. "What are you going to do, brat?" The Junin snarled at Naruto. He answered with a foxy grin, "What you wanted, of course." Before anyone could stop him, he made the ram seal and transformed into a taller white blonde with pigtails and smoke covering her busty front. The girl stepped closer to the Junin and laid her hand on his vest and whispered, "What do you want me to do, Master Tilda?" Kiba, Choji, Shino, and Shikamaru all fell over, blood gushing from their noses. Hinata actually fainted seeing Naruto's almost naked form, even if he was a girl. Ino, on the other hand, blushed bright red and was stuck in daze, unable to move. Even Kakashi-sensei felt a trickle trail down his mask. The Junin instantly started bleeding from his nose and fainted on top of Naruto, who then screamed, "Pervert! Help, there's a perverted pedophile." He then quickly transformed into a smaller version of the blonde pigtailed girl, this time with ripped clothing instead of a smoky covering. The genin, who had finally recovered, could only stare wide-eyed at what happened next. Instantaneously, a mob of kunoichi materialized and looked at the scene before them. A little girl crying with ripped clothing and a man bleeding from the nose on top of the girl. All of them flamed up murderously in unison and began beating up the Junin. "No wait, it's not what it looks like." The Junin, who recently regained conscious, tried to explain himself in vain. "Oh, so you're not a child-molesting pedophile after little girls?" one of the women spitefully asked as she cuddled Naruto. "Yeah," he nodded his head agreeing with those words. "Tell them what really happened, kid," he yelled while glaring at Konohamaru. Konohamaru noticed his boss winking at him and looked to the other female ninja. "He said that he wanted to touch us for compensation." The man paled as the woman's hairs started to fly in rage. "Stay over here, sweetie." The woman brought Konohamaru and Naruto to the side of the tree and returned to the man. "Compensation, huh? I'll show you some compensation." She glared at the man and used chakra to pound him into a tree where the other women were waiting. Naruto whispered to Konohamaru, who was ogling the beatdown in awe, "That's another ninja lesson. When you can't do something by yourself, always get help." "Whoa boss, you're so cool." Konohamaru admired with stars in his eyes. Yeah, Naruto agreed. For some reason, the women in Konoha are always ready to half-kill any perverts around. They've helped me out of a lot of trouble in the past. Always remember about them. If you're not careful, that might be you one day, he said sternly to Konohamaru, who nodded quickly. The other genin just gawked at what they'd witnessed. Women were really scary when they were angry. Shikamaru despaired. This just reinforces the fact that women are troublesome. Kakashi just shivered as he remembered what the bathhouse women did to the last pervert who peeped on them in the hot springs. Once the Junin was covered in bruises and barely conscious, the women stopped thrashing him and kneeled down to Naruto and Konohamaru and said, "If this man ever bothers you again, just scream, and we'll come." Okay? Okay. Naruto agreed easily and waved goodbye to the women who were leaving. Thanks for all the help. No problem, they replied in sync, saluted, and vanished. The other genin rubbed their eyes, wondering if they were in a genjutsu. Kiba pinched himself. Ouch. Definitely not a genjutsu. The Junin shakily stood up. Why you got teamy tea this tea time, brat. But I'll get my revenge if it's tea the last thing I do, he vowed. Ha, what can you do? Naruto taunted the man as he slowly walked away. Try anything and I'll scream pervert again. The man just snarled and noticed the picnic basket. He smirked and sneakily shot a fireball at the picnic basket. Oops, he smugly said before disappearing into leaves. Naruto growled and was about to chase down the man when he noticed Sasuke and Sakura coming towards them. Boss, who are they? Konohamaru tugged on Naruto's jumpsuit and pointed. They're my teammates. I made this for them in the morning so we could have a picnic. I hope the food isn't destroyed, he whispered to Konohamaru and quickly put out the fire with the water-making jutsu from the campfire 3. Dobi, why did you call me here? Sasuke asked and crossed his hands impatiently. Yeah, why are you wasting Sasuke's time, Naruto baka? Sakura yelled. The genin in the bushes couldn't believe that this was how Naruto's teammates treated him. Hey guys, Naruto stuttered a bit before regaining his happy-go-lucky tone. I thought we could have lunch together. I made some umeboshi and… He was cut off by Sakura before he could even finish. Yeah, right. As if you could cook anything other than ramen. Shikamaru and Choji had to hold Ino back from pouncing on Sakura. Sasuke grunted in agreement. Team 8 frowned deeply at how Team 7's members were treating Naruto. I had some help, Naruto started defensively before relenting. So, anyways, want to eat with me? He asked expectantly and held out the basket. Sakura snatched the basket from Naruto and opened it. And after eating, maybe we could train together, like a team? Naruto asked, daring to hope that his teammates would finally agree. He held his breath along with the rest of the genin as Sakura opened her mouth and said, Naruto, is this a joke? She glared at Naruto and made a fist about to punch him. Hey, don't hit boss, you ugly lady. Konohamaru shouted and broke the trance Naruto was in. What do you mean a joke? Naruto asked, confused and a little hurt. He'd thought his own teammates would at least notice that he hadn't pulled any pranks since after the bell test. Sakura took out the once carefully wrapped umeboshi that now was a soggy burnt mess. Do you expect us to eat this? She asked in distaste and let the food drop to the ground. I bet you're trying to get Sasuke sick so you can beat him tomorrow when we train with Kakashi-sensei. She accused and glared daggers at Naruto. Kakashi felt ashamed of how Sakura was treating Naruto. He made your favorite foods and you throw it back in his face. The other genin were outraged. Shikamaru even had to use his shadows to restrain Ino, Kiba, and surprisingly Choji from revealing themselves. Though he too wanted to go out there and yell at Naruto's teammates, he knew this wasn't the time. Even the nicest amongst them, Hinata, was glaring at Sakura. Well, you can forget your plan, she scoffed. Sasuke sneered at Naruto as he walked away, inwardly cursing him for wasting his time for training. Sakura glowered once more at Naruto before running after Sasuke. Naruto watched his teammates walk away a little bummed out. Sure, he didn't expect them to eat with him right away, but this really? Stepping on the food he worked hard to make with his friends and accusing him of trying to give them food poisoning in a training match. He sighed and slowly shoveled the remaining edible food into the basket with Konohamaru silently staring at him. Boss, I don't like your teammates, Konohamaru said after a while. Naruto laughed wistfully and said, yeah, they might not seem like it now, but they really are good people. Sakura-chan might seem like she's just super overprotective of Sasuke, but she's actually really smart and strong, and though Sasuke is also smart and good at using techniques, he's also super lonely. Konohamaru scrunched up his nose at this and said, "I think you're just too nice, boss." Naruto only chuckled at this, while Kakashi watched this interaction with a warm smile. "Naruto, you've grown up well, your parents would be proud of you." It was at this point in time that Shikamaru could no longer use his shadows to restrain the other genin, who then burst into the clearing and toppled over onto Naruto. Oof! Naruto groaned as he felt everyone's weight piled on top of him. "Get off of me," he gasped and pushed Choji off him. "Sorry about that," Shikamaru said sheepishly as he came into the clearing. "So, you guys saw it all, huh?" Naruto began, and the other genin nodded hesitantly. Naruto rubbed the back of his head as he apologized. "Sorry, you guys helped me and I wasn't able to have the picnic with them after all. Even the food was ruined." The others couldn't believe Naruto was blaming himself for the plan failing. That wasn't why your fault." Hinata stammered. "It was that man's fault," she insisted. "Yeah, you saved Konohamaru." Kiba agreed and patted Naruto on the back. "Indeed, you cannot blame yourself for neither the food's destruction nor the failed plan," Shino added, his Kakaichu buzzing in agreement. "If anything, it was Forehead's fault." Ino insisted. "Yeah, who throws perfectly good food on the ground anyways?" Choji angrily said and spread the remaining food from the basket onto a napkin. Shikamaru took one of the soggy burnt umeboshi and ate it. "Tastes good to me," he said. Sakura and Sasuke don't know what they're missing out on. The other genin followed Shikamaru's lead and each ate one of them. Even Konohamaru took one and ate it. "You guys." Naruto choked out, feeling stuffy all of a sudden. "Not bad, boss," he cheerfully said, eating one of the umeboshi, before grinning playfully and whispering to Naruto, "I like these friends of yours way better than your teammates." "Yeah, me too," Naruto whispered and took one of the umeboshi for himself and ate it. Kakashi watched this from the tree and felt something warm stirring inside him. Not bad at all, he thought as he munched on a familiar burnt soggy umeboshi treat. And if later that night a certain Junin was checked into the Konoha psych ward muttering about a one red-eyed masked demon, then that's just a coincidence. After all, it's not like Kakashi went after the man just because he dared to threaten one of his little genin.
That's all for now. If you enjoy this video, then please like, share and do comments.